The following program is brought to you by Cloudcast Media, a podcast leader in developing shows to elevate local brands, local stories, and local storytellers. Cloudcast, bringing ears and minds home.
The San Diego Union Tribune and Retirement Strategies Group present the Union Tribune Community Spotlight Show with your host, Drew Schlossberg.
I'm Drew Schlossberg of the San Diego Union Tribune, and we're pleased to have back in the studio with us today our friends from Traveling Stories. Joining us is Emily Moberly, the CEO and founder. Emily, nice to see your smiling face again.
It's so good to see yours too, Drew.
I'm so glad to have you come back on. So it's very, very cool stuff. Before we introduce your very special guest that'll be joining us as well, talk a little bit about the mission of the organization.
Yeah, well, Traveling Stories is a local nonprofit I started in 2010, and we are so passionate about getting kids excited about reading. So our mission is to empower kids to outsmart poverty by helping them fall in love with reading by the 4th grade.
No, I think that's terrific. There's nothing more important than in reading, and joining you is one of your volunteers and students. It's Mohammad Al Mahdawi. Mohammad, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you, Drew?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much. I take it you like to read.
Yes, sir. I love reading.
Now, have you always loved to read, or was it basically, did you get kickstarted by Traveling Stories?
I got kickstarted by Emily and then Heji and Jake. They helped me a lot.
Very, very good. So, you are, what grade are you in?
I am currently in 9th grade, sir, high school.
What high school?
Grossmont High School.
Very nice, very good, out in East County, very good. And you are thrilled about reading what type of material?
I love reading Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, those kind of books.
Right. So has any of this inspired you to do something like, geez, you know what? I want to be a teacher. Nope. I want to be an author. Nope. I want to do X. Has anything resonated since you've become such a passionate reader?
Well, I've been trying to write my own book like Emily has, but it's not been coming as well.
Well, that's okay. You got plenty of time over here. Well, what's the book going to be about?
Like dragons, but then it's like a hero. It's like a small baby book, though.
Okay, all right, very good. You got to start somewhere over that. And so now, does your family like to read? Is your mom's in the studio with us? Is she a big reader?
My mom loves to read. My dad, not as much.
Not as much? Okay, that's all right. Do you have siblings, brothers and sisters?
Yes, my brother, he hated reading, and now he's starting to love it because of Traveling Stories.
Oh, no, and probably, is he an older brother or a younger brother?
Younger.
So it's because of his big brother. You've helped him out doing that. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That sounds good. Emily, this must just warm your heart to the nth degree, and of course, Hezi and everybody else at Traveling Stories to see, what has transpired here. You probably have a lot of stories like Mohammad.
Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't do it if we didn't have those stories, but being here and seeing Mohammad and having him be able to share that experience, some of the things he's saying, I didn't know he was writing a book, so...
It's amazing what you learn on our show. Yeah. Exactly. I think that's well. What got you into it? And did you write a book? Did I understand that?
I wrote a book. It's actually out. It just went out on Kickstarter this week. It's a children's book.
Congratulations! What's the name of it?
Thank you. It's called Watch Out for Mr. B.
Watch out for Mr. B.
Yes.
Okay. You want to tease us a little bit about it?
Sure. And it ties into why I started Traveling Stories. So it's about a little girl named Emily who moves to Honduras with her mom and her cat.
So you had to name it after yourself?
Yes. And at her new school, her principal is this really mean man named Mr. B who hates reading for fun, and he doesn't let kids read anything but textbooks. And so the students work together to find a way around that, and they create this top secret book club. And so it's a lot of fun. It's for kids probably like 5 to 10. Right. It's going to be bilingual, Spanish and English.
Okay.
And
how do people get it now?
You can pre-order it on Kickstarter.
Okay. So you just go to Kickstarter and ask for what, Emily Moberly?
I think you would go to Kickstarter and look for Watch Out for Mr. B.
Okay.
Or Emily Moberly. But you can also, if you follow Traveling Stories on social media,
right.
Thanks to Traveling Stories for broadcasting my book everywhere.
Yeah, no, happy to do that, and it lives forever. So talk a little about the Story Tent program, and then we're going to get Mohammed's views on that.
Good. I want to hear, because I know what I think about it.
Okay,
but
So what is the Story Tent?
The Story Tent is our main program. It's a pop-up reading program at malls and farmers markets every weekend. Kids come, they check in, they pick out a book they like, they read one-on-one, which is a big deal, with the volunteers or a peer or a parent, and they negotiate for book bucks for every book they read. And with their book bucks, they buy prizes.
Can they buy a book?
They could, yes, they could. But we also, we have a wide range. We really treat our readers, our young readers, as our customers. So we respond to their feedback and get prizes that hopefully will motivate a reluctant reader and transform them into a confident one, which I think we've got right here with Mohammad.
That's good. We're chatting with Emily Moberly. She is the CEO, founder, and now found out author of Traveling Stories, joined by volunteer and student Mohammad Al Mahdawi. So talk about your experiences with the Story Tent program.
They inspired me to love reading. I used to hate reading. I would only read little books. I would always make excuses with my mom. I can't read this. The letters are too small. And ever since I joined Traveling Stories, people have started helping me. They started just coming to my life and just helping me. My mom, Emily, and everybody else, like Haji, they would all help me read. And then I would start reading like Junie B. Jones books. And then I would start progressing like this book called Aragon, and then I would start reading Harry Potter. It was really amazing.
You know, first of all, you're doing very well. It's first time on radio? You've been on radio before?
No, sir.
Okay, so you're doing a great job, by the way. You got a great radio voice as well. You're very poised. And I think, in all seriousness, I think the reading has helped quite a bit on it because you got a great vocabulary in that area. Has it also given you a lot more confidence to do some things, being such a good reader?
Honestly, yes. Back in elementary, I wasn't really that much of a good student, or I didn't see things as I see them now. It has helped me in multiple ways, not just one.
Right, exactly. And so, we all know this. Once you gain confidence in whatever the area it is, whether it's reading or it's writing or it's sports, it helps you become confident in other areas as well in that, which I think is so critical. And you mentioned something that I think is so important. It's opened your eyes up probably to a different world, correct? Mm-hmm. So explain that. Why is that so important?
Well, because when I hated books, I just saw everything plain. I didn't care at all. And then when I started reading books, I started seeing a whole different world, a whole different level. It's amazing what just one book could do to you. But when you read different books, you just start expanding.
Would you say that, okay, now let's pretend that you are now a spokesperson, and you are actually, for Traveling Stories, okay? What advice would you give to reluctant readers like yourself? What would you tell them?
If you love reading, I promise you'll love volunteering for Traveling Stories.
Okay, so what do you do as a volunteer?
I read books to children. I help them develop, just like they've helped me. I read books to children. I read different books to them, and I give them book bucks for every book they read. And that's it, basically. I help them around.
I tell you what's so important about that, and you know this as well, Emily. When you see this, wonderful young gentleman sitting here in the studio that is so passionate about giving back, a variety of things have happened. One, and really this is a testament to you, Mohammad, and to your mom and your family on this. And we talk about this quite a bit on our show, is that when you inspire young people, okay, whether they're ninth graders or they're college students, to give back because they benefited from this aspect of it, you're going to be a lifelong person involved in the community. And I cannot tell you how important that is. So that's terrific. Congratulations to you doing that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. So what else can you say about that? That is phenomenal.
I know, it makes my heart just, so warm and sing. And I know we've alluded to it, but I just want to point out, when we first met Mohammad,
right.
He was a participant. So,
right.
He went from not liking reading to reading. And then our program is for kids 2 to 12 years old.
Right.
So when he turned 13, he approached us and said, hey, I want to give back. Can I volunteer?
Right.
And it's, he was one of the first students to kind of age out and then say, so we created a whole junior volunteer opportunity. And now, kind of like you said, it is appealing to other teens like Mohammad.
Well, it is so important, as Mohammad knows, and I've been fortunate enough, Mohammad, I was many years ago, probably before your mom was even born, I was the president of the Greater San Diego Reading Association. So reading is in my blood, too. And being, in the newspaper business and a former sports writer a zillion years ago, you have to read. You have to read a lot, and, good writers, I'm not sure if I was ever a good writer, but good enough, you have to read. Have you seen that improve your writing, being such a good reader?
Honestly, yes. When I was back in like around 6th or 7th grade, I used to get D's or F's on my writing. I started reading books. I started progressing more and more. And now, thankfully, Traveling Stories and Emily, my writing has become so much better.
Yeah, and it will continue to get better as you continue to read in that area. So we got about a minute and a half before we go to break. Emily, talk about how the pop-ups work. Are you in how many different places are you at any certain time, and is it only on weekends? Explain that.
Great questions. Go to our website if you want the full list of our locations and times. But we're 4 places every weekend. So we are at Parkway Plaza Mall in El Cajon, City Heights Farmers Market, Imperial Beach Farmers Market. We'll start that back up in the spring.
Right.
And Vista Farmers Market.
Right.
So those are all Saturdays or Sundays. Or Fridays,
right.
Sorry.
From when to when? What's the time frame?
Each one has a different time. So we go with the schedule of like the farmer's market, or in Parkway Plaza, it's from 1 to 3 p.m. So we work with our partners to find some of the highly trafficked times so we can engage more families.
Is it usually a 2-hour window you're there? Okay.
Yeah, it's anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. It is the same time every weekend.
Right.
And we do have all that listed on our website, travelingstories.org.
Right. Do people have to, sign up so all of a sudden you're not flooded with 100 people when you were expecting 10?
If you're going to volunteer, we do need you to go through a process and sign up. But if you're a family and you want to come read, no, you just show up. Many of our students and readers come week after week once they get into it.
Right.
But we do find that sometimes there's a surge of kids and sometimes there's not. So it adds to the fun and the chaos and the true childlikeness spirit of the program. No,
that's great. So when we come back from break, Mohammad, we're going to talk more about your experiences and how you can give some great advice to other students. You've talked about that a little bit about becoming sort of non-reluctant readers, and then I want to chat about the Traveling Stories, a new compassionate leadership program for high school students, and again the new children's book. We'll talk a little more about that. Watch Out for Mr. B by Emily Moberly. It was launched just 2 days ago on the 22nd of January. We returned to the Community Spotlight Show here on Cloudcast Media Radio. We are brought to you by Retirement Strategies Group, the Retirement Made Simple folks.
Cloudcast 180. Powerful people, powerful stories, 180 seconds.
Welcome to Cloudcast 180. We're here today with the president and CEO of Father Joe's Villages. Welcome to Deacon Jim Vargas.
Thank you, Charles. Good to be with you.
We have 3 minutes. Let's hit it fast and furiously. We're going to talk this morning with you about San Diego being a very expensive city, which creates a housing crisis, which is exacerbating the homeless crisis in San Diego. Let's talk about your leadership on this issue.
Sure, absolutely. We do have an affordable housing crisis here in San Diego. In fact, if you ask about the number one issue why people fall into homelessness, it's lack of affordability. And so they fall onto the streets, especially when rents go up, and rents are very expensive here. So we at Father Joe's Villages focus tremendously on housing. In fact, about 40% of our intervention is placing individuals into permanent and affordable housing. All right, so shows you the extent of what we do. And of course, there's services that go along with this, because in order for people to retain their housing, their dwellings, they have to have the services that they're necessary, whether it's mental health services or substance use disorder services, whatever that is. We have a Turning the Key initiative, whereby we'll be introducing 2,000 affordable housing units into the community during the next number of years. In fact, we just closed on a deal to purchase and refurbish a motel in the South Bay area. It's going to add 83 permanent supportive housing units. Next week, we'll be closing financially on a groundbreaking that will have 14-story building, 407 units of housing as well, taking about 550 people off the street. So housing is extremely important.
Which means you're investing a lot of capital. How are you finding that capital to solve the housing crisis in San Diego for homeless folks? 90 to 95%
of our funding is public funding. Various sources, whether it be from the state, it be local, county, city, municipality. So most of it is public funding. There's tax credits that are involved there. The capital stack is quite large, actually.
So you're finding the land, you're finding the capital, you're changing lives. How are you minimizing the risk of future homelessness for these clients of yours?
We're minimizing it through our services. We need to make sure that in order for them to retain the housing, that they receive the services that they need that are holistic and are comprehensive to their specific needs.
That's fantastic. Deacon Jim, in the last 10 years, your organization has taken 11,000 folks from homelessness to a home. So I congratulate you. Any closing thoughts for our audience?
No, that's what it's all